What's up, traders? Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical analysis on ticker symbol VINE for Fresh Vine Wine. On the left-hand side, we have the daily time frame, and on the right-hand side, the 30-minute intraday time frame. First things first, this will, of course, be an update. We talked about it on the channel in the past, and I wanted to do some follow-up here, considering that the volatility has remained quite high. Our Fibonacci's are no longer really doing their job, so we're going to remove that. And here we go, right? So from the daily perspective, certainly some upper wicks here indicating some selling pressure on the Friday session, and even today's session, closing it back down underneath that pivot point we know from the 30-minute perspective, right? It was the pullback low from here before it ultimately exploded to the upside. Also some consolidation, upper wick, so on and so forth. You get the gist that 575 is a rough area of resistance now that we're below it. But you might be saying, well, hey, idiot, look at what's going on in the post market. And you're absolutely right. We are technically trading higher at 670 by 680. It's changing as I'm speaking. So we're closer to here, definitely, or very likely rather, going to be opening on some sort of gap up. So let's go ahead and turn on the extended hour session just so we can see that. And we'll put in our framework, right? So this is generally how I want you to start thinking about gap ups. We want to know where today's high of day was. We want to know where the overnight high is. And we want to know where the current or, suggested opening price would be. And obviously that stuff is subject to change by the time the 9:30 bell rolls around. So please adjust accordingly. But this is going to give us some things to pay attention to. So in order to avoid confusion, I'm just going to turn that off so the price isn't jumping all over the place. Then we'll talk about scenarios over here on the 30-minute intraday time frame, just so I can show you how this could potentially unfold. So making this a little bit easier on the eyes. There we go. First thing would be the gap and trap, right? This is always scenario number one whenever you're dealing with a gap up or down, just opposite for the gap down, correct? So if we open here and fail to attract new buyers up and over that overnight high, you're looking for a short back down through the open to close the gap to today's high at $6.13. Now, before you jump down my throat again, I would also acknowledge, yes, you're not going to short this stock, right? There's none to borrow. There's no options chain. What I would suggest is that you're just not fishing for longs in that instance. The area where you would fish for longs is if the gap completely closes. So if we do get something like that and we get to here, that's where you start to say, okay, now that the gap has closed, structure's been repaired, can we print some hammer candles? Can we print some indecision dojis? Basically things that would say, hey, maybe the sellers are letting up a little bit, the buyers have a chance to flip it long up and over the highs, then you would retarget the opening print from right around in here and where that breakdown really came from, 679 as of right now, subject to change by the time the bell comes around tomorrow. Scenario number two, and I'm sure the one a lot more people are hopeful for, would be the gap and go, right? So something that opens here, puts in bullish consolidation, could be an ascending triangle, flat highs, something like this. Anything that essentially sets up the breakout of the overnight high, which is currently $7.37, takes us to the next daily area of resistance. And we know that number is basically $8 even. If I scrunch up the 30-minute this time and put that back to auto, you'll notice $8 is this big congestion point from in the past. Technically speaking, it's a little bit underneath $7.85. If you wanted to go higher than that, you could start looking for this at $8.63. But again, I would really start focusing on 8 before you get ahead of yourselves, one step at a time, right? If it starts to break, then fantastic. We know that's the next long-sided target. But please, as I've mentioned, one step at a time here, especially noting the selling pressure that we saw Friday and even towards the end of day here, or rather morning spike, right, on today's session. So those are my thoughts. That's how I'm going to navigate this one into the bell tomorrow morning if I decide to watch it using that framework we just discussed. If you enjoyed the video today or learned anything new, let me know in the comments section or by giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description. And all of that being said, I wish you a green trading week.